Okay, check your email.
Okay, just drop every unimportant thing that I'm doing so I can be at your beck and call and check out my email.
You're gonna like this. I just sent you a picture of the Chateau de Versailles, and that's where I want to go while we're in Europe.
That's Chateau de Versailles.
Sure, I'll take your word for it.
Oh my goodness, these pictures are amazing.
I know, like look at the architecture and look at the artistic design of the interior, the furniture, like it all looks completely wonderful. C'est bon.
Oh man, we're gonna have to work at this. It's c'est bon.
Yeah, maybe if we're gonna go to France, I should probably work on my French a bit, hey?
Yeah, let's do that. Or just keep your mouth shut.
Okay, I'll let you do the talking.
Oh man, like it's so beautiful. I can't help but think though, like if this chateau is so beautiful, can you imagine how beautiful King Solomon's palace must have been? Because, I mean, he had everything.
I know, the thing I don't like is like none of it survived. Like the only record we have of it is like what we read about in the Bible, like how it was built. Man, I wish I could have seen it.
Yeah, I think Solomon's actually one of the more fascinating figures of the Old Testament.
Yeah, so Solomon, his father was King David, and King David, when he was dying, he called Solomon to his bed, and then listen to what he said to him. It's from 1 Kings 2. It says, "Be strong and show yourself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord your God."
And when Solomon did become king, he saw a vision in which God offered him anything that he wanted. And I often wonder, like, what would I have asked for? Would I have asked for riches or a long life? But Solomon, he asked for wisdom.
That's right, and he told God, "And now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of David my father, although I am but a little child. I do not know how to go out or come in, and your servant is in the midst of your people whom you have chosen, a great people, too many to be numbered or counted for multitude. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to govern this your great people?" And it pleased God that Solomon had asked for this.
So God granted his request, but he also gave Solomon the things he didn't ask for, like riches and honor.
Yeah, and he was poised to be just as great a leader as his dad was, maybe even greater, but he lacked one thing. His heart wasn't right with God.
Right, God had given him great wisdom, so it's not like as if he didn't know right from wrong or good from evil. He knew.
That's right, and we can learn a lot from Solomon because God wants to use us, even though we're just ordinary people. Like, I'm not a king, as far as I know. But in order to do that, our hearts have to be right with him as well.
We've already established that it's not enough just to know right from wrong because Solomon did. But rather, we need to choose the right thing even when it's really difficult. And when our intentions and desires and our actions line up with what Jesus wants, that's when we develop character.
I agree. So character is what's built in us when we start to look more like Jesus and less like the world.
I want to talk more about Solomon because in his heart he knew right from wrong, but that didn't stop him from going astray from God's law. What do you think happened?
Well, for one, he married foreign women who led him to worship false gods and false idols.
Yeah, he succumbed to the weaknesses of covetousness and pride.
That's right, and in the end, having 700 wives and 300 concubines was a more powerful force in his life than God was, and his kingdom fell.
What was he thinking? I mean, even with just wives, he would have been celebrating an average of 2 anniversaries and 2 birthdays every single day.
I know. I could barely keep track of one wife.
Oh, no. Don't be so hard on yourself, hon. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, you think about when the struggles of life come, it's the person who consistently chooses the godly path and does the right things that demonstrates a godly character.
When you think about it, we probably have 1,000 different opportunities every day where we can either choose to submit ourselves to God's will and do what he wants or elevate ourselves, or where we can choose to be kind to other people or to satisfy our own needs and desires.
Yeah, a selfish attitude is really what destroys many people. So when we're selfish and proud, then that leads us away from God.
And would you agree, like, do you think it's true that we become what we habitually do?
Someone that you would say is truthful, there's somebody that tells the truth all the time, right? Or someone that you say, like, that person really has a lot of joy. It's somebody who's exhibited that they have joy no matter what their circumstances are in life.
So in Solomon's case, his wisdom wasn't enough. Like, he'll never have the same reputation as his father, King David, had. King David was described as a man after God's own heart. And it's not because he was perfect, right? He actually sinned repeatedly. But every time he sinned, he came back to God and he asked God to forgive him and cleanse him.
Solomon, on the other hand, he worshiped false gods, and he forgot about the God that gave him the wisdom. Now, it may have been his intention to follow God, but somewhere along the line, he got distracted. He had a problem with his heart.
I think God cares about our character so much because it has eternal value. And so he gives us opportunities to grow in character, gives us choices. You know, we often have choices, choose our attitudes, our behavior, whether or not they'll be Christ-like.
Yeah, I think God allows circumstances to come into our life to hone our character. So think about it. If your life never had any adversity, you would never have a chance for your character to be changed.
Sure, and God often uses people to challenge us in our commitment, like in marriage. So say, for example, before I met you, I thought I was a really nice, unselfish person.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me that I made you a mean and selfish person?
No. You make me better, hon. I just mean that before I married you, for example, I didn't know how selfish I was with my time because nobody was making any demands on my time. Or I thought that I was a really patient person because there was nobody around to irritate me.
Hold on here. I'm supposed to be happy that I didn't make you mean and selfish, but should I not be annoyed that I irritate you?
Oh, not at all, hun. The more I know you, the less irritating you are. But what I'm trying to say is, I might think I'm a really compassionate person. I might feel really good about that until all of a sudden I meet somebody who's really hurting. Then I'll find out if I'm compassionate or not. Or I might think I'm a really generous person, but I don't really know unless I meet somebody who really has a lot of needs.
Okay, I'm still really confused. Should I be offended at this point?
No, I think we need to take your mind off this. So why don't you just review?
I'll summarize what we talked about. In order to fully serve God, we must not just obey Him with our outward actions, but we must have a heart that desires God's will. Christian character is the desire to do God's will above our own, to think about others before ourselves, and to deliberately choose right from wrong. Christian virtues are any behaviors or actions in the Bible that are praiseworthy. Character can be developed by making daily choices to do the right thing and to honor God and others above ourselves. Wow, how did our discussion about Solomon's temple lead to a discussion on godly character?
I'm not sure, but I think I'm ready to think about a few questions, though.
Like what?
Well, like which life circumstances bring out the best in me, and which life circumstances bring out my worst traits.
Oh, I can tell you what those are right now.
Oh, you're the expert on my worst traits then, are you?
I've been living with you for 15 years. I think I have a good idea. 15 wonderful years, maybe. Or maybe we should just try to pick someplace else to go on our vacation. That might be a better use of our time.
Yeah, maybe you should stop talking.